Okay, Sistas fans, I'm going to be blunt from the get-go. If you were tweeting along with me last night, or if you joined in my live stream, you know I was not a fan of this episode. Strictly filler. I could tell you the highlights right off the rip. Heather takes Michael from Zach. Sabrina and Maurice find out the charges have been dropped. And pretty soon their boss might be contacting them about their jobs. And by the end of the episode, Preston confronts Tony and Danny in the parking lot of the airport. Oh, and Tamara agrees to go back to Hayden and apparently not sign the post-nup. That was less than 30 seconds of a description, and I told you the highlights of the episode. Nothing else matters. So if you want to click off the video, that would suck because I need video retention to help with the ad revenue. But let me just say, this is a completely skippable episode, and I'm not going to complain too much. Yes, this was a dud. I give it a 3 out of 10. But I say it every week. We have to make it through these episodes to get to season 7 because we're knocking out old storylines, establishing new storylines, opening up the door for new characters to come in, but at the same time, escorting some old characters out. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yep, season 6, episode 16. So, this review might be rather short, just to let you know, because I gave you the highlights. I told you the best part, or the, I guess you could say, non-fillerish portions of the episode. I think this episode did suffer from lingering on some scenes for far too long, where you could just tell there was a bunch of ad-libs, and more often than not, it just didn't land. A lot of repetitive lines, but hey, anything to get the 42-minute runtime. So before moving forward in this review, which I will try to at least make 10 minutes, maybe, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. And please hit the bell icon and select all because I want you to make sure that you're up to date whenever I post content on the channel. The bulk of this episode was Maurice crap. Brian seems like a cool guy, you know, but Maurice, I just cannot stand his character. Unable to take anything seriously, runs his mouth way too much. And to think him running his mouth with quote unquote sarcasm is what got him and Sabrina in this mess to begin with. Yet while sitting with attorneys and DAs, he's still on that bullshit. All right, let's start off with the, you know how I do, like sometimes I'll do the episode in complete order. Other times I'll like compile the character segments like, hey, I'm going to start off by talking about all the Andy stuff. Then I'll talk about the Sabrina stuff and so on and so forth. So the episode picks up where we left off. The cop is with Heather. She wants to press charges, have him arrested for kidnapping their son. But the cop says, wait a minute, you're the father? Yes. I can't really arrest him for that. Wait, what? So all he does is take Zach's ID to, scan it and whatnot. And ironically enough, I did a video at the last minute for the sneak peek of this particular episode because I took a nap. I went to bed like at 6:15. I woke up at 8:35. I'm like, I think I can whip up a video about this sneak peek and have it up right before the episode aired. And I did at 8:57. But essentially, this scene made no sense. Heather doesn't trust Zach because Zach's like, look, I'll give you your money. I don't care. Let me just keep our son. No, because if you keep him, how am I going to get the money? I don't trust you. And I was talking with some of my girls at work and they were telling me not to sign anything because I can get way more money from you than, the money you originally offered, which was $2,000. And I'm like, Heifer, you signed the paperwork last season. When Zach gave you the paperwork and told you $2,000 a month, you could not sign that paperwork fast enough. And if I remember correctly, Fatima took it to her job to get it filed and whatnot. So did Tyler just forget about that? And even if they go to court, which she claims she isn't afraid of, there is just way too much evidence stacked up in Zach's favor to get custody of this kid. Heck, she even goes so far as to say, what, he ain't being treated that badly. Even saying like, oh, well, he's a little slow. He must get that from your side of the family. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be sympathetic towards Heather, but something tells me she may not have had the best childhood herself. Maybe she had it worse than Michael. And if she did, bless her heart, that's awful. But to think that Michael isn't being mistreated or abused just shows you the lack of love and empathy that Heather received or didn't receive when she was growing up. But it just seems to me like there is next to no way she can win against Zach in court. So as they go, the cop pretty much just says, hey, there's really nothing I can do. All I can offer you is the advice of going to court. And Zach is pissed off about that, but then he winds up going to the law firm. Fatima's upset because he's late, to the point where the lawyer actually took another meeting. But from there, Zach explains what happened with Heather. And, they say, look, well, we got to go to family court. Zach's upset because this process will take a while, but I'm kind of confused why he's reacting this way, because I'm pretty sure he was told at least once or twice before that they can get an emergency hearing. So, yeah, a lot of characters, I'm just scratching my head like, did they forget what they've talked about already? I don't know. But in any case, Sabrina and Maurice are on their way to the office to talk with Andy. Sabrina tells, Maurice about the date and how they're going on another one. Maurice talks about, he thinks that Sabrina's... I'm sorry. Maurice has his moments where it's funny, but more often than not, it's just like, it's just ridiculous rambling. So on their way there, he just talks bad about Andy, her wardrobe, her hair, her ability as a lawyer. And I'm just sitting there like, she ain't gotta help your ass. So why are you even going if you don't want the help? I don't know. But the DA calls and wants to meet up with them. Sabrina doesn't want to go to his office, but she does mention they're going to see Andrea Barnes, and then he's like, okay, I'll meet you there. She calls Andy and just says, hey, come here as soon as you can and calm down. We will get through this. So they eventually make it to the law firm right as Zach and Fatima are finished talking. I will admit, I did chuckle at this scene because I forgot the chemistry that Brian and DeVal have on camera, because we haven't really seen these two interact since the early days of Zach's financial come up when he went to the bank and made an account. And then those few scenes where, like, at first Maurice would mock his like worn down wallet and stuff like that and library card. Or then as soon as Zach made the financial come up, he was like the best employee ever. So it was just fun to see these two interacting. But from there, they go into Andy's office and more nonsense ensues. Sabrina is nervous and upset. Maurice is just running his mouth. Andy's unsure about what the DA wants to talk about, but eventually he does show up. They go to the conference room. Maurice is still going. Folks, I'm sorry. I don't want to half-ass this review, but I just don't want to be boggled down by Maurice's nonsense. If you saw the episode, I feel like we all just cringed and groaned at the same time of like, shut the hell up, let the DA talk. Once again, this was all for the sake of runtime. This was all for the sake of runtime. But eventually the DA is able to divulge the information. The charges have been dropped. Q's in jail. He's going to go on trial. Your boss, who suspected neither of you were even involved with the robbery to begin with, should be contacting you soon about your jobs. And then he gives Maurice just a word of caution like, hey, just be careful of the company you keep. And Maurice is looking around like, I know you ain't talking to me. He's like, what the F? And then he's like, what did you say? And I'm thinking to myself, Maurice, the charges have been dropped. And he just gave you a small piece of advice. And you act like you don't want to accept that. Go to jail, nigga. Just stupid. So from there, that's pretty much it. Tamara goes over to Hayden's. Folks, most of this stuff, like if you saw my trailer breakdowns and other videos, you know what it is. She refuses to sign the posting up. She gets all like, well, no, it's like you're showing you don't trust me because you want me to sign this thing. And she eventually gets Hayden to say, you know what, forget it. As long as you stay, that's what matters. Stupid. All right. While Zach is in Fatima's office, this is kind of a cute scene. Just these two interacting. Fatima sees that Hayden and Tamara walk by, and Zach's like, wait, that's her? And Fatima's starting to feel like, had that look in her eye like, oh no. And Zach's like, don't you dare begin to feel sorry. Don't you try to put a stop to it, because the moment you put a stop to this, Hayden's going to do something that's going to make you go, see, this is why I set his ass up in the first place. So I did like that. And I like how Zach took a moment to like reflect on their change in behavior, because Fatima's literally like, okay, I should have done this, and that to Heather to make sure she wouldn't bother you and take your son back. And Zach's like, hold on, how did this go from me always making the rash decisions, you being the level-headed one, to vice versa? And I'm like, that makes sense. Remember, after they first met from Chainbreakers, Fatima dropped Zach off at the hotel and he broke into the room attacking Aaron and got arrested, and Fatima had to get him out of jail. And now you have Fatima, just going straight hood all the time. Hood first, classy lady later. But in any case, I like that they're having like a little mini brainstorming session over it. And it's kind of funny because in the midst of it, Zach is like, wait a minute, is this what you do all day? Yeah. I'm sorry. It's like you usually come home tired, exhausted, like you really went to work hard. Like this isn't manual labor. And he's like, okay, I'm just kidding. I'm thinking one of two things. Number one, my first instinct was Zach. Think about it this way. More often than not, Fatima either goes to work in a mood, she finds out some stuff in the midst of her shift, and she's usually carrying a lot of drama on her shoulders during her regular shift. So as a result of that, yeah, she's going to be mentally drained by the time she gets home. Somebody pointed out during the live stream, I don't know, Jeremy, think of it this way. What if it's because of her pregnancy that she's a little winded or whatnot when she gets home? And I'm like, so we were almost about to get the words, she's pregnant in Sistas, but it didn't happen. Other than that, I guess there's only two other things to talk about. Pam looking good. Red dress looking good. Karen arrives at the salon. And, Pam pretty much says, look, don't go up in there, ruin your health or the baby. Again, there's a lot of repeated dialogue here. But essentially, Pam is smitten by the contractor who's been in there for about an hour. And she talks about how, I'm not focusing on men right now. And I told Aaron that it's Zach's baby. And what else is there to talk about? Folks, you know how it is. Oh, yeah, the green screen. I mean, look, I watch Marvel stuff. Marvel has been dragged through the mud. Rightfully so in most cases because of the bad VFX and whatnot. So Tyler Perry's wonky green screen at the salon and the parking lot of the airport doesn't really distract me. Yeah, I notice it. I might chuckle, but I'm not going to say, oh, this is the worst thing ever. No, trust me, I've seen worse. But in any case, Karen's yet again reiterating the whole, I'm just focusing on me and not men and trying to get this salon fixed and have a healthy baby. Contractor comes out. We got Marcus Henderson, a.k.a. Jason Weaver, in the house, basically giving a rundown of the situation. It's the fact that all the equipment is pretty much scorched. So the damage to the building itself isn't all that bad, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get an estimation. I mean, somebody's going to have to come out, get all the asbestos out of there, and then, like I said, the equipment and everything. So yeah, I guess you could say it's a matter of, okay, first you got to figure out how much the building repairs are, then the money for all the equipment and stuff. This ain't going to be cheap. It really is not going to be cheap. So as he's leaving, Karen mentions how Pam likes him, and he pretty much, says, sorry, I'm married, 7 kids. What? Yeah, me and my wife adopted 2 sets of twins, and then also my sister's kids. And like, nah, I ain't trying to get into this Brady Bunch stuff. So that was pretty funny. But, yeah. That is the episode. Oh, yeah, the ending. Tony is at the... I ain't trying to judge, because I don't know what y'all be driving. I don't know what anybody drives, but Tony with that black van. Looks a little suspect to me, bruh. The fact that you got these like creeper, stalker. I mean, your first impression on fans, like, bro, this dude's kind of like a creeper or whatever. And you got that black van. And I mean, you talking about, oh yeah, over here you talking on the phone. Like, I'm like, man, you probably got like a headset, mini radar or something to pick up signals in your van. I don't know. It just seems suspect to me. That's all I'm saying. Just, I don't know. So he's talking with Danny, discussing how, oh, Jordan just has not stopped talking about Andy. He just doesn't have any flow, any game. So I want to try to convince him to call her. And turns out the text message he had sent Danny the night before was kind of like in code. So if Preston saw the phone, he wouldn't know. And they're excited about dinner at Jordan's place tonight. And then they kind of just have a little back and forth banter. And the moment he's like, well, yeah, if things don't work out with Preston, you just let me know. And Preston rolls up on him. And that's the episode. Folks, you didn't miss anything if you didn't watch this episode. That's really all I got to say. But if you enjoyed the review, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. It really does help a lot. And I'll catch you in the next video.